This is the 2021 Porsche Cayenne GTS. And if you're not really sure what that means, that's because there's so many Cayenne models, it's kind of hard to keep track. You have the Cayenne, Cayenne E-Hybrid, Cayenne S, GTS, Turbo, and Turbo S E-Hybrid. And on top of that, you have another 6 coupe versions of every single model I just named, totaling 12 different Cayenne models, ranging from $80,000 to $200,000 Canadian. So why would you pick the GTS? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about the exterior and interior features of this car, the engine, we're going to go drive it around, and we're going to test the 0 to 60 to see how fast it really is. My name is Giancarlo, and you're watching Greenlight Car Reviews. So although the Cayenne's design hasn't really changed much over the years, besides the occasional facelift, we do have the latest Botox version of the SUV. And Porsche really wanted to differentiate this from Cayenne S because it is the sportier version whilst not getting into turbo territory. And to do that, they started off by putting a lot of black accents around the vehicle. Everything's blacked out. We even blacked out the lights in the front and in the back to make this really aggressive. And I really think that looks good, especially with the white paint, because it really stands out. You also get blacked out quad exhausts that look really good and this black rear diffuser. As standard, this vehicle gets 21-inch semi-gloss spider design mags with wheel extensions in body color, which really makes it look great, and these beautiful red brake calipers. Alongside the vehicle, you can actually see even more black accents because this is a very aggressive German SUV. And it actually sits an inch lower to the ground than the Cayenne S, which makes it have a very powerful stance. It's very scary when it's creeping up behind you in the street. And when you come in the front, you actually get all real vents, and these are all active, which means that if you don't need them, they'll close up. But if you do, they will open up and feed more air to the engine to allow cooling. Getting into this vehicle, you actually have a lot of luxury, and you see a lot of race techs, which is Porsche's Alcantara. You see it all over the seats over here, surrounded by this beautiful leather and contrast stitching. You also have GTS over here on the headrest, which reminds your friend that you paid a lot of money for a German performance SUV. You also have race techs pretty much everywhere else. You have it on the headliner and on the steering wheel. And Alcantara or race techs is probably my favorite material inside a vehicle. The only problem is with Alcantara, it kind of gets shiny after a certain amount of time and it doesn't look as good. But I find that race techs actually last a lot longer than Alcantara and other vehicles for some reason. I guess it's just a different material, but it looks really good and it feels great and it really feels luxurious. You also get this knob over here on the steering wheel, which allows you to switch between the different modes, whether it's individual, normal mode, sport, or Sport Plus. And if you press it, you get that extra boost button, which we'll talk about more in a bit. Now, I want to make a little quick comparison. I'm not sure about this, but I find it pretty funny how this little knob here is at the same place, and it's exactly the same between Mercedes and Porsche. And I'm not sure who did it first. So if you guys know, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Who copied who? And even with this handrest over here, this and the GLE is pretty similar. I know that Cayenne has pretty much always had this, but who copied who, guys? Let me know in the comments because I'm pretty curious to know who really copied which brand. Now, the steering wheel is pretty nice, very comfortable, very luxurious. You have metal paddle shifters that feel really great. And you have good buttons over here, which, you know, are still real buttons. They're not touch like in Mercedes these days. And I like that. The screen is very nice. It's very interactive. It's easy to use. It's pretty user-friendly. And I really like this new infotainment that they have in the new Porsches. I think we saw it first with the new Taycan that came out. And everything after that pretty much followed. And it looks really great. I like how it blends into the vehicle. You know, like some Audis have this just screen on top. Well, this really blends in, and I really like that in the design. If not, over here in the middle center console, you have a lot of buttons. They all have haptic feedback, which is nice, so you can really know what you're pressing. You have adaptive suspension. You could control your exhaust modes. The only thing is, because these are race tech seats, although you have heated seats, you do not have air-conditioned seats. There's no air that comes in here. The button is there, I could see it, but I can't press it. because of the Alcantara, it was not possible to do. Besides that, you do get a lot of space in this vehicle. You have two USB-C plugs over here, which is always good for your new high-tech phones. You have a lot of space pretty much everywhere. Nice big cup holders, and this also has the smoker's package, which will allow you to light your cigarette and ash right here in your Cayenne GTS. You also get two 7-inch screens in the digital dash. So you have your main dial in the middle with the RPMs, and then you have your two screens on each side, and you can scroll through the different modes, really customize this, and it's a really cool feature. You have a lot of screens and displays, you have a lot of technology in this car that makes it really fun and convenient for everyday use. This vehicle is meant to be placed between the Cayenne S and the Turbo. And although it only has 20 horsepower more than the Cayenne S, it does have one really important difference: the twin turbo V8. And although you can't see it because it's pretty much plastic everywhere, this is a 4-liter V8 twin turbo that gives you 453 horsepower and 457 pound-feet of torque. All this is powered through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it's supposed to propel you from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.2 seconds. So now it's time to talk about the price. This Cayenne GTS starts around $120,000 Canadian, which is about $20,000 more than the Cayenne S and about $20,000 less than the Cayenne Turbo. So it's right in the middle. And Porsche is very smart because Porsche places the price of their vehicles in a way that as soon as you start adding options, you're right at the base price of the next vehicle a level up. So with a bit of options, because not a lot of things comes as standards in this vehicle, you're going to be close to a Cayenne Turbo price. This vehicle actually has close to $20,000 of options, which rises the price up very quickly. The back seats of the Cayenne GTS are actually very comfortable. You have more race techs over here, some nice red seat belts, and you have a great amount of headroom and legroom. You actually get more than in the coupe, obviously, and you have easier access. So if you really want comfortable back seats, this is a better option than the Cayenne GTS coupe. The Cayenne trunk actually offers 26 cubic feet of space. It's not remarkable, but it's definitely acceptable. And if you decide to fold the seats down, you actually get 59 cubic feet of space, which is more than enough to bring stuff around. You also have a button over here to lower the air suspension if you have heavy things to put into the vehicle, which makes it a lot easier. And what's cool about this vehicle is you actually get a very nice spare tire in the back, which is always practical and convenient. You also see the Bose sound system that is in this vehicle, the subwoofers in the back, and it offers great sound. Now it's time to talk about the 5 top things I hate about the Cayenne GTS. There's no button in the back to fold down the back seats. So if you want to put them down to put some extra stuff in your car, you actually have to go over here and fold them down one by one manually. And even when you do so, you never really get a flat surface, which is kind of annoying. You really don't get a lot of options that's standard with Porsche. Actually, if you want adaptive cruise control, you're gonna have to spend $2,300 extra for a feature that's pretty much in every other vehicle these days. The V8's covered with plastic, so every time you're gonna tell your friends you have a V8 in your super cool GTS SUV, and they're gonna show it to them, they're just gonna laugh at you. Come on, Porsche! You don't get a PDK transmission with this Cayenne GTS. You only get an 8-speed automatic, and it's supposed to help with pulling heavier loads. But for a vehicle like this, come on, Porsche, where's the PDK? Like I said before, there's also no next track button anywhere, not even on the steering wheel, not in the middle. So if you want to press the next track, you're listening to a playlist, you want to change the song, a really annoying song comes on, you have to go in the screen, go to media, and then you have to finally press next song. Which engineer thought of that? Now it's time to talk about the 5 things I love about the Cayenne GTS. For an extra $1,300, you could get the Sports Chrono package, which allows you to calculate lap time 0 to 60 and much more. And you get this really cool dial over here that looks very, very luxurious and expensive. The Cayenne doesn't really offer launch control, but instead gives you a boost. So if you press this button in the middle of the dial, you get a 20-second boost that propels you forward like a maniac. The buttons in the Cayenne GTS actually offer haptic feedback, which is really cool because while you're driving, you can actually know that you indeed pressed the button, and it feels very luxurious. You also still have some dials over here, which you don't in the Taycan, and I really like the mix of old school dials and haptic feedback touch controls. If you need extra room in the back of a Cayenne GTS, you can actually back up your seat and recline it quite a bit. So you can now take a nap while the driver races this car around the nearest track. V8 engine means a lot of sound. And the engineers at Porsche actually tuned this exhaust to be specifically loud for the GTS. So although this is a GTS, when you're just driving around a quiet neighborhood, which is what I'm doing right now, it's actually pretty quiet. You don't have a lot of noise. It's very insulated as a cabin. You have barely any tire noise, not too much wind noise. It's very, very comfortable and luxurious, which is what you want out of a Cayenne. And the comfort is actually not only brought by the whole cabin interior, but because of the air suspension. They added a really great air suspension in this vehicle that really adapts to the terrain you're driving on. So whether I'm on a bumpy road or not, I never really feel any discomfort in this vehicle. And when I do want to push it, the suspension stiffens up and really gives me that control that I need when I'm going around corners. So this is very practical for a vehicle that really has to do a bit of everything. You need to be able to pick up the kids from school and just drive around slowly on a daily basis. But if you do want to pick up the pace and press that pedal, you have that sound, that engine, and that power to back up the torque. But when you put this vehicle in its sportiest setting, you can really start hearing that roaring V8. And this is very surprising to me, and I'm not complaining at all, but we are really in a generation, in a period where most vehicles are downsizing their engine, are going for smaller engines because they have to respect emissions around the world. So not only are they putting smaller engines in their vehicles, but they're also putting a gas particulate filter, which reduces the sound of the vehicle. But this seems so loud and fast, and it's such a big engine. I'm really truly impressed by what Porsche was able to do in this vehicle. Now, although it seems like a boat, when you turn around the corners, it is quite stable, and that's really because of Porsche's dynamic chassis control. It electronically will see when you are turning and will control the suspension of the vehicle to keep it stabilized. And that is truly a great system. It really does it well. You also get in this vehicle torque vectoring control, which will automatically check the differentials in the back and lock it so you're able to really get that grip when you turn a corner. It will put it on the right wheel. And this is really properly fast, whether it's in a straight line or around the corners. And because of that four-wheel drive, you really feel safe even on a rainy day like today. It is really a vehicle that allows you to do a lot of different things. And listen to that beautiful sound. It is really, really a nice sound. This is an amazing all-around SUV that offers luxury, practicality, and really good speed. And when you're looking at 453 horsepower, that doesn't seem like a lot, especially when you compare it to the X5M or a GLE 63, which both have a lot more horsepower. But we're talking about Porsche here, and Porsche really likes to maximize every single horsepower they use. They don't like to waste horsepowers and put an excessive amount. They will use the proper amount that will deliver the speed that you need, and this is exactly what it does. This does not feel slower than a GLE or an X5M. It really does not, and it really feels like it's properly using the power that it has. So let's do the 0 to 60, guys, 0 to 100. So you don't have a launch control, but what you do is you put the boost mode on, foot on the brake, foot on the gas, and oh my god! Whoa, that boost really works. Oh my god, that was fast. Guys, that was really, really, really fast. And guys, I wanted to calculate the 0 to 100 for you guys, but I didn't because it's a really rainy surface right now and it's not gonna give me the accurate time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna calculate it again when we get a dry surface road, and we're gonna do that for you guys, and I'm gonna give you guys the right time. So make sure to check out our YouTube shorts because I'm gonna put that 0 to 100. I'm gonna redo this in our YouTube shorts, so check it out. So the final verdict, what do I really think about the Cayenne GTS, and should you buy it? Well, first of all, I was automatically very impressed when I started driving this vehicle because I really had some different expectations because of the size of it, because of how big it is, and it doesn't really have that high of a horsepower. I wasn't really sure what I was gonna feel, but the emotion that you feel while driving this is really uncomparable, and it really handles well, although it is very big. Although they could have put a PDK transmission in it and it would have really been the perfect SUV, the 8-speed still handles pretty well and it does the job that you need it to do. So if you do have the money to buy this vehicle, I do suggest it. And you're actually lucky because this is actually a vehicle that's for sale. It's for sale at Audi St-Bruno, right next to Montreal. I'm gonna put the link in the bio of where you can actually see this vehicle for sale. And you could go check it out. A great special to Audi St-Bruno for lending us this vehicle. And if you have the money, don't even hesitate, go buy it because this is definitely a 10 on 10.